Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we can bring begin the resolutions portion of our annual meeting. My name is George Graham. I'm from District 8. I'm your resolutions chairman. For the last 2 years, all you've seen is this part of me on my laptop, but I like this much better. The resolutions procedures can be found in your manual, right there. I'd like to ask, I assume everyone's read them, and if I could have a mover and a seconder to make a motion to ratify the resolutions procedure, please. Thank you, Dalton. A seconder, please. Thanks, Sam. All in favor? You'll have to raise your hands. Thank you. CAP will be sunsetting resolutions that are 5 years old. CAP members had the opportunity to reaffirm resolutions by reviewing the list of sunsetted resolutions that were posted on CAP's website. This year, they will be archiving resolutions from 2018. Voting on the resolutions, you'll be using your iClicker. Only district delegates and group member delegates are eligible to vote. If you received an iClicker during the registration process, this means you are eligible to vote. Please turn on your iClicker by pressing the orange power button. For voting on resolutions, delegates will only be able to use buttons A and B. Button A represents an in favor of a resolution or motion, and button B represents being opposed to the resolution or motion. I will read the panel will read the resolved portions of the resolutions, and then I will ask for a mover and seconder. And if there are amendments, I will read the amendments as they occur. If you wish to speak to a resolution, please come to the mic, state your name and your district, and then we will begin. Thus.
Mr. Chairman, there we go. You spoke about the 2018 resolutions that were going to be sunsetted. And I've looked over the list. There's a number of them that I don't think have been completely finished at this time. Is it possible to make a motion to sunset them until everybody in the organization has had an opportunity to see what management and our organization has accomplished with these resolutions?
The ones that are sunsetted?
That's right.
I'm not exactly sure what the... Oh.
Just a point of information, Mr. Chairman. All committees looked at the resolutions, and the committees decided whether or not they were ongoing resolutions or the resolutions had been completed. So, I mean, that's part of it. So most of these resolutions have been reviewed by committee who have said they're completed. The ones that haven't been completed are the ones that are the responsibilities of the districts and delegates to then determine whether or not they should be reaffirmed. So I don't know if you want to deal with these things tomorrow, or you'll just have to present resolutions at Advisory Council or next year's annual meeting.
Thanks, Les. Can we start with resolution number 1? Bill?
Be it resolved that CAP research whether there exists the option for MASC to share producer information with Statistics Canada that would reduce the data collection burden on the relevant parties involved. Moved by?
Chuck Fossey, District 6.
Seconded by? Thank you, Reg.
The mover like to speak to the resolution?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This resolution came from a producer in my area, and basically what happened is that last fall he was busy with harvest. He started getting some phone calls from Statistic Canada to get information about his seeded acreage and how harvest was going and a number of other things. And of course, we all know how busy we are at times during spring seeding and at harvest, and he just couldn't be bothered to answer the Statistics Canada questions. They proceeded to phone him numerous times saying that we need this information, we got to have it, and I think they were almost prepared to threaten him with fines and jail time if he didn't provide the information. So he felt that it would be, because we already provide a lot of this information to the Manitoba Agricultural Services Corporation in our seeded acreage reports, our harvested acreage report, that it would be very convenient if farmers had the option to allow the sharing of information between MASC and Statistics Canada, so farmers wouldn't have to be bothered during busy seasons. The information would probably be more accurate because you've already filled out the forms, you got the information, you're not working from memory. So he put forward this resolution to me. We did a little wordsmithing on it, and as it says, we're looking to research whether or not this is a feasible option. Not that it has to be done, and it would be purely an option, a voluntary option that producers could use if they wish to share the data between Manitoba Crop Insurance and Statistics Canada.
Thank you, Chuck. We'll open the floor for discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Butch Harder, Region 3. I did not understand this at first, and I thought, why is that thing here? But now that I understand it, I think it's an excellent idea. My impression is that if they phone me and they want this information, acreage and crops and yields, I can ditto and say, you go to crop insurance and you can ask for my information. And I say that, I found out in our coffee shop where they're at least 50% of what they say is true in there, and they're so cynical when Ag Canada phones them about their yields because they're going to. It's like guys that take the COVID shot, that there's something that'll detect them where you are, will haunt you for 75 years, and so I think this is a good idea. Just to say, own crop insurance. Yeah. Good.
Thanks, Butch. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question, and I'll just repeat. Button A is in favor, button B is declines. That motion is carried. I'm now going to ask Bill to come up and read the number 2.
Resolution number 2, Federal Carbon Tax, District 8. Be resolved that CAP lobby the Government of Canada to make the carbon tax visible on all receipts and invoices involving petroleum products. Moved by?
George Graham, District 8.
Seconded by? Okay, do you wish to open debate?
Yeah, this resolution is all about transparency. The federal government right now is charging $50 a ton on carbon, that is supposed to work out to 11 cents a liter on gas, diesel, oil products, propane, or well, it's a different coefficient on propane and LNG. And we have no way of knowing. It's a hidden tax. April 1st, it's going to $65 a ton, which will be somewhere around, they say, 14 cents a liter. And if you think about that, 14 cents a liter on every liter of gas, diesel, and oil products, that's tens of millions of dollars every week. And they're saying, don't worry, trust us. We're giving you more money back than you're spending. Well, now we have the Manitoba Taxpayers Federation saying, no, actually, Manitoba families are spending upwards of $400 more on the carbon tax than they're getting back. How do we know? This is one step. The GST is on every invoice. If you overcharge, they will catch you. The PST, same thing. If you overcharge, they will catch you. If you charge more on the carbon tax, how do you know? You can't see it. The Supreme Court has said the government has the right to charge the carbon tax. As taxpayers, we have the right to see it. That's what this resolution is about. Put the carbon tax on our invoices and let us decide how much we're paying. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Well,
Please
Chuck
identify.
Bossy, District 6. As some of the old timers know, I like to get up and speak to resolutions, so I just would like to say that I don't know how much value there is in this resolution. I mean, farm fuels, diesel and gasoline are already exempt from the carbon tax. So there would be nothing to be put on any invoices as far as those petroleum products. There's Bill C-234, which is going into third reading, which would remove if it passes, would remove the carbon tax from propane, natural gas, and other heating fuels that might be used on the farm. So really, the only place you would see the carbon tax would be if you stopped at your local co-op or gas station to fill up your car with clear gas. So I wonder where the value is in doing that. That's my question.
Okay. Any other comments from the floor? Does the mover wish to close debate?
I guess just the value in this is transparency. We have a right to, as citizens, and I don't always get a chance to use all my farm fuel. I have to fill up at pumps quite often as well, and we're all paying carbon tax. Not everybody gets to use farm fuel when they're traveling. So this is about transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. I would remind you that button A is in favor, button B is opposed. Please vote. That motion or that resolution has passed. Item number 3, Bill C-21, District 8. Be it resolved that CAP work with relevant stakeholders to ensure that Bill C-21 does not negatively impact a producer's ability to access and possess certain rifles and shotguns. Moved by
Ken Farker, District 8.
Seconded by?
Michael Kingdon, District 9.
Does the mover wish to speak to the resolution?
Just to say that when asked to work with relevant stakeholders, we're referring to wildlife associations and possibly other provinces to bring a unified message to Ottawa.
Is there any debate from the floor?
JCare District 1, I'd like to propose an amendment to the resolution.
Proceed.
Okay, so the resolution would read, does not negatively impact a producer's ability to access and possess, strike the word certain, and then rifles and shotguns for the purpose of hunting and pest control.
Do we have a seconder for the amendment? Do we change do we have the ability to change on the screen? Is it up there what you have amended? Not yet? 1 second have been indicated. Okay. Okay, so we have that part, but we need to have clarity on the screen with the amendment so that we have the proper wording for the amendment.
You got the second?
Is that what, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you have?
And Ed Carter McKinney has a second.
Okay. Is there any debate on the amendment? This is on the amendment only. Yeah, proceed.
Just with the amendment, the intent is just to further get what I believe is the point of the resolution across, just changing the words a little bit, not trying to change the intent at all.
Okay. Any more debate from the floor on the amendment? Seeing none, we are voting A, in favor of the amendment, B, opposed to the amendment. I've been given the instructions to hold on. Awaiting further instruction. Okay. Push the orange button again. No? Patience. Trying to figure out where to unplug this or something like that. Isn't that the process or some of that part? So. I get old-fashioned way. Is that okay? All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? 1. Okay. I declare that amendment passed. So I will now entertain debate on the amended resolution number 3. Probably stalling as much as anything to find out if this closed will disappear so we can vote. But hit the blue. There. Okay, everybody hit their blue button and then it says it's ready. Okay, we will attempt to try. Well, we got to make sure that it works. Okay, if it says ready, if you're ready to vote, close. Or does the mover wish to close debate on the resolution? Okay, like you're not to the mic to speak, or yeah, just to. Oh well, yeah. I guess.
I move to the closed debate.
Okay. So then, ready for the question? A, in favor. B, opposed. Okay. So now you're back up there, John.
That motion's carried. We received 3 resolutions on time. The following 5 resolutions in your book are considered late resolutions, so I will need a motion from the floor to accept the late resolutions.
Les Felch, District 4A, move.
Thanks, Les. Heather? Feathers? Thank you. Whose turn it is for number 4? Okay. Nope, we're doing number 4. Yep, we got time.
Number 4 in your programs, crop insurance coverage. This is a reaffirm. Resolved that CAP lobby Manitoba Agricultural Services Corporation to work with Manitoba Agriculture and the Prairie Fruit Growers Association to establish an affordable insurance program that covers the appropriate range of natural perils to strawberry and Saskatoon crops. Be it further resolved that Keystone Ag Producers lobby the Manitoba Agricultural Services Corporation to work with Manitoba Agriculture and Prairie Fruit Growers Association to collect sufficient data to develop insurance programs for other fruit crops in Manitoba.
Do we have a mover
Angie Cormier, Prairie Fruit Growers Association.
and seconder?
Sam Connery, District 6.
Does the mover wish to speak to the resolution?
Just to say that we are continuing to work with MASC. We are progressing. We've definitely had to work with them on thinking outside of the box on a program that could work for our crops.
Thank you. Open the floor for discussion. Oh, here we go.
District 4. I think that there should be able to facilitate the establishment of fruit crops similar to what they do with the hay crops, where it's a multiple-year product, and once they verify that it's established, then move forward as such. And if there's any winter kill or seasonal killing of those products, could be dealt with similarly.
Thank you very much. Oh, Les walked right by the mic. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. A in favor, B opposed. The resolution's carried.
Resolution number 5, Farm Family Succession, District 4. Be it resolved that CAP lobby the Government of Canada to eliminate the policy of deemed fair market value for non-arm's length family farm succession transactions. And be it further resolved that CAP lobby the Government of Canada to expand current family farm succession provisions that would include other kin relations where a family farm working relationship can be proven. And be it further resolved that CAP lobby the Government of Canada to ensure capital gains exemption be intended for retiring or succeeding family farms.
Do we have a mover?
Yeah, Bill McVicker, District 4.
Second by Doug Brown, District 4.
Mover like to speak to the resolution?
So this is kind of a huge situation for all family farms in Manitoba. Everybody has a different circumstance. Everybody has a different cost base. And many guys in the room have probably engaged the professional consultation processes of lawyers and accountants. and have been talked into a strategy of mitigating capital gains for the purposes of increasing their cost base over time. And so that is just a huge burden on the family farm where the governments have settled the West with families. They've continually over time supported family farms and the continuation of family farms. So I think the idea of them capitalizing on a deemed succession where it just offers a huge burden to the family farm.
Thank you. We'll open the floor for discussion. Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? It's not working. Is it working?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that resolution's passed. Move on to resolution number 6.
Resolved that Keystone Ag producers make the public and the Government of Manitoba and the Government of Canada aware that Manitoba producers will not have enough energy options to meet future needs by relying on biofuels and current government policies.
Mover?
Les Felsch, District 4. I see our, founder.
Seconder?
Mark Rempel, Manitoba Pork Council.
Thanks, Mark. Mover like to speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you know I like to get behind the mic occasionally. Not that I have anything that anybody wants to hear lots of times, but anyway, we'll continue on. This resolution probably stems from some of the ideas that the Manitoba government has come up with, and that one of them is that there will be no new natural gas lines in Manitoba.
No new natural?
No new natural gas lines in Manitoba. I mean, this may be just something that they're saying to appease the federal government. We don't know, but we want it known that as producers, we cannot live without new natural gas lines because we're very limited with the options that we have. Windmills will not run grain dryers. Solar panels will not run grain dryers at night. Those that think biofuels are an option, they should look at all the costs. Look at all the nutrients that you're pulling out of the field every time you want to use biofuels. Natural gas should still be an option for us, and I guess one of the other issues is access to three-phase power. Manitoba Hydro is the only option in Manitoba, and we are finding that there are going to be limitations on access to that also.
Thanks, Les. We'll open the floor up for discussion, please.
Reg Martinet, District 2. I am fully in favor of the presentation as presented. The use of bioproducts to burn as energy, as the Manitoba government, are they still involved with this, or have they pulled away? I really don't know. I was working with the International Institute for Sustainable Development, harvesting cattails in Pelly's Marsh, and that was sort of a trial run about using bioproducts. But I don't think that policy is in place anymore, and I think that all the machinery has been sold. And as to the natural gas, I didn't realize that the Manitoba government had put a ban on natural gas in other areas. I know that they're not interested in funding natural gas in other areas, but putting a ban on it, I don't know that. I'm currently sitting on the council for the Arm Victoria, and we, along with 8 other municipalities, are trying to get a natural gas project to go into central Manitoba, and we have spent several hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to do this. and we're still working with the Manitoba government. We weren't successful in our first attempt to get this done, and we were informed that if we had a project that was larger in scale, perhaps they'd be more interested in looking at it, and now there's currently 40 municipalities that have expressed interest in this, but to get any kind of response from any minister in the current provincial government is almost impossible. The reason why people want to use different energy sources in a lot of cases is because they were using coal, especially in hog and livestock operations, and also for manufacturing in rural Manitoba, and that option isn't there anymore because the previous government made the burning of coal, I don't know if it was illegal, or there was probably a better word for that, but anyway, there's no more coal being burnt, and so a lot of these operations have either had to go to using propane. Now, propane, of course, is a gas product too, and they can't go to using the hydro because there's not enough of a power grid in a lot of areas in rural Manitoba to support heating large operations with electricity. So I'm sure that this delegation here will probably vote in favor of this motion, but CAP better, if they plan on paying more than lip service to the provincial government, will have to get involved in a bigger coalition to get something else going in rural Manitoba to replace coal and any other energy product. Like even maybe natural gas is the thing, but there has to be a bigger push for the government to accept this. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is this on? Yep. David Rourke, District 1. I would speak in favor of the resolution, but I would add that that the biofuel program that would be related to things like sustainable aviation fuel, we can't even begin to supply enough biofuels to make that a more scalable solution. So it's kind of a short-lived suggestion. On the other hand, if we wanted to produce our own fuel for our own farm use, we certainly could do that within agriculture. The calculations are it would take about 2 to 3% of our acres of canola of our whole farm to produce enough oil that would either be used as straight vegetable oil or biodiesel or synthetic diesel in order to power our on-farm equipment. So there is some roles that biofuels can play in the future, but there are others that are a bit ridiculous.
Thank you, David. Any further discussion? Oh, Margaret?
I realize I'm closing debate by speaking.
Yep.
Right. I think our main concern, or one of the main concerns, is that a number of our producers don't have access to options in the short term. Not saying that we don't need to have a longer term strategy, just that the steps to get us there appear very scant and sketchy. And it's concerning for producers who are wanting to make significant investments in their operations and in their farming enterprises. So I think it's important to emphasize this to our government and to have these discussions about timelines for energy alternatives and adapting to them.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? That motion is carried. At this point, I'd like to call Colin Penner to the microphone to introduce the students' resolution, or to ask for a motion to.
Yeah, can I move that the students' resolution gets moved forward in the listing here so that we can address their resolution before the end of the day?
Do we have a seconder?
Seconded by Doug Livingston, District 3.
All those in favor to move the students' resolution to this point in the procedure? Opposed? Reg, I'd like to invite you to introduce the students and their resolution.
Sure. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, I'd like to welcome the students here today. And I'd also just maybe give a very brief comment about how they arrived at getting a resolution. So I teach a course called Issues in Agriculture and Food. Colin, who was up at the mic, is also one of their instructors. And anyway, in our course, I broke the group into the class into 7 groups. They came up with 7 resolutions. They narrowed that down to 3. They debated them, they challenged each other, and they voted on one that they've brought forward today. So just a little bit of background on how they arrived at this. So thank you.
Thanks, Reg. Can we call on, do we have some representatives from the students who'd like to speak to this motion? Sorry, we're going to present the resolution. Yeah.
And I believe, I'm not sure if it's been circulated.
It's up on the board.
Yeah. My understanding is that if it's not in your package, I need to read the whereases as well. Whereas the herbicide-resistant weed species of kochia has caused dramatic yield loss of near 35% on average and continues to spread and rise across the province. And whereas 58% of kochia found in Manitoba was glyphosate resistant in 2018, with approximately 4.6% of arable farmland in 2016 having kochia populations on it with confirmed groups 2, 4, and 9 resistance. And whereas an initiative initiate an incentive for farmers to implement a 4-year perennial crop rotation on affected fields to help reduce the long-term impacts of resistant kochia seed, which has a 3-year dormancy period. Now, therefore, be it resolved, CAP lobbied the federal and provincial government to incentivize farmers through MASC who are affected by herbicide-resistant kochia to be given up to $50 an acre for growing a 4-year rotation of alfalfa and other perennial forage crops upon resistant verification. Did I missed the bottom part, did I? The revised?
Well, it was just the resolved is what's on the screen there, not what you read. It's the CAP lobby of the Government of Canada instead of MASC.
So, sorry, I was reading and not looking further down. Resolved that CAP lobbied the Government of Canada and the Government of Manitoba to incentivize farmers who are affected by herbicide-resistant kochia to be given up to $50 an acre for growing a 4-year rotation of alfalfa and other perennial forage crops upon resistant verification.
Moved by Colin Penner, District 3.
Seconded by Doug Livingston, District 3.
Open the floor for discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Chibati, District 4.
I'm Richard Davey, District 2.
And we would like to speak on behalf of the group that came up with this resolution, just as a way to clarify the end goal that we are seeking.
As you all know, herbicide-resistant kochia is nothing new to us as Manitoba farmers. However, it's spreading more rapid than ever, and something needs to be done before we have to return to historic practices of hand-picking weeds. We believe our resolution to CAP is the answer, or at minimum, a step closer to reducing the impact of herbicide-resistant kochia.
It really is a win-win situation for each type of producer. Whether you're strictly grain, mixed with both cattle and grain, have dairy, it really doesn't matter. We believe that there's a benefit for you to have this incentive available.
For strict grain producers, your incentive is to, of course, remove the herbicide-resistant kochia from your fields. You can be covered for up to $50 an acre each year there is a perennial crop on your kochia-affected fields. This would be for each year of the 4-year crop rotation to cover seed costs in the first year and fertilizer costs in following years. During this time, you can rent your land out to a cattle producer, which is also added income. See, it's a win-win. The grain farmer gets the kochia removed, and the cattle farmer gets more feed for the winter, which is never a bad thing.
For mixed operations, your incentive is to, again, remove herbicide-resistant kochia from your fields while also getting covered for up to $50 an acre each year there's a perennial crop on your kochia-affected fields. Again, the minimum being 4 years to cover seed in the first year and the other 3 years for fertilizer purposes. So again, it's a win-win for everybody. You get that kochia removed off your grain land while getting covered for planting more acres that can be used as feed.
Now, applying for this incentive is treated just like you would treat kochia in your field. Once you see kochia, you spray. Once you see kochia in your field, you can apply for this incentive.
It's important to remember just how small the ag community is, and we could all really benefit from not having to deal with herbicide-resistant kochia on our field. So thank you again for listening.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion?
Could I propose a friendly amendment that the resolved portion of the resolution stipulate that the $50 per acre per year?
$50 per acre per year. You want to add per year? Yep. Do we need a seconder for that resolution, for the amendment?
Colin Penner, District 3.
Thanks, Colin. The amended portion of the resolution is on the board now. Resolve the CAP lobby the Government of Canada and the Government of Manitoba to incentivize farmers who are affected by herbicide-resistant kochia to be given up to $50 per acre per year for growing a 4-year rotation of alfalfa or other perennial forages upon resistant verification. We'll open the floor for discussion on the amendment.
Reg Margin at District 2. I totally in favor of the amendment. In fact, I was totally in favor of the original resolution. Currently, if your municipality has both the insight and wisdom to belong to a conservation district, and seeing that kochia is quite often associated with saline land, there's a program available now, but this will, of course, will cover all areas of Manitoba, even if you don't belong to a conservation district. Thank you.
Thanks, Reg. Any further discussion?
Chuck Fossey, District 6. I mean, part of the purpose of this resolution is to teach the students how to debate and, deal with resolutions and amendments. So I'm going to speak against this resolution because on my farm, if I had kochia, and I admit there are maybe a couple of spots in the fields where there's kochia, that $50 an acre per year doesn't make economic sense to me. I'm better off to actually plow that acre or two of kochia, bury it under 6 inches of soil, and continue to grow a crop on it. So I'm just saying, in a lot of areas, while I think it's a great idea, it's a way to deal with herbicide-resistant weeds, $50 an acre is not significant enough of money to make farmers get into this type of 4-year rotation in many parts of the province. Might work in cattle country, it's not going to work in the Red River Valley.
Thanks, Chuck. And as students, you are allowed to debate this. Go ahead, Les.
Oh,
there you go.
Les Felch, District 4. I have to agree with Chuck on this one. I know it's not usual, but he's got a point here. And in my experience, I mean, I'm from the Red River Valley also. I've had alfalfa in a rotation. Basically, actually, it's 7 years now on a tiled field. I've been trying to get rid of salinity, and kochia has been a problem on that field also. Am I supposed to tear that field up in order to get the $200? I've found that the kochia hasn't disappeared. Alfalfa does not grow in saline areas, so it's not the answer to all your kochia problems.
Thanks, Les.
Stefan Signer, District 4. I would like to raise a point of order. We currently have an amendment on the floor, an amendment to this resolution. That is what we are meant to be debating at this point. And until we vote on that amendment, we should not be debating the resolution in whole.
You are correct. We are debating the amendment, not the resolution. All in favor of the amendment to $50 per acre per year? Use your clickers, please.
Does it work?
A in favor, B opposed.
Right.
The amendment has been passed. We are now debating the amended resolution. Go ahead, Steph.
Stefan Signer, District 4. In the spirit of friendly debate, I would like to raise an objection to this resolution. And it seems to me there are some unintended consequences that may resolve if this goes forward as proposed. First of all, for those producers who are currently hay producers and do not have kochia on their hayland, this actually provides an incentive to perhaps not worry about preventing kochia infestation of their land. Because if I'm already growing alfalfa, and I know if I can get some kochia on there, I now get $50 an acre extra for the next 4 years, it's probably worth it. And secondly, if I'm doing all the other things already, now maybe I don't need to worry about it so much, because even if I get kochia on my fields, whatever, we'll let the government take care of it for me. Thank you.
I like this, even if I don't have it.
Can you identify?
Oh, Kevin Stott, District 4 yet. We know it's known as a tumbleweed, and I'd sure like it if my neighbors took care of it so it doesn't come onto my field. If this gives them the incentive to take care of it and keep it off my place, I like it. As far as plowing goes, I think the longevity of kochia is 4 or 5 years, so if Chuck wants to plow for 4 or 5 years, I guess that's okay, but it stays in there and it's a horrible weed, so anything to get rid of it and coming on other fields, I'm with.
Thanks, Kevin.
Jake Ayer, District 1. Spirit of debate and learning, I move that we send this motion to Grains, Oilseeds, and Pulses Committee.
That's a wrench for you, students. Colin Penner, I'll second that.
Okay, what's the procedure now? We have a motion to refer this resolution to a committee.
I'd like to move that we deal with it here rather than moving it to committee.
Well, we're going to call a question as to whether to move this resolution to committee. Please use your clickers. A in favor, B opposed. That motion has been defeated. We're back to the original motion. Any further discussion?
I'd like to close the debate, seeing it's going to be cocktail hour in an hour. Thank you.
Say again, Reg, I didn't.
I'm closing debate.
The mover was coming to the mic behind you, so we're going to let him close debate. Oh, well, we're speaking to it.
Stephen Chibati, District 4. And yeah, just on the plowing topic and stuff like that, sure, you can go ahead and plow it, but like Kevin said, it's going to come back eventually, so keep plowing your field for 5 years, but she'll come back to haunt you. Yeah, and again, like we said in our explanation, the whole point of this resolution is just to take a step closer to becoming herbicide kochia resistant free. This may not be the sole idea that we move with, but it's just an idea to take a step closer because during research for this project, we really couldn't find anything too much on steps that are being made right now by CAP or by the Manitoba government to prevent kochia from spreading or any practices to be in place to help make it free. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. We'll call the question. All those in favor? That resolution's carried. How are we doing for time?
6 minutes, you can't do it. We'll take the next two tomorrow.
Should we try the one more?
6 minutes.
Can we do public insurance?
Well, then you only got one for tomorrow, so.
Resolution number 7.
It's your turn.
Oh, is it my turn? Resolved that Keystone Ag Producers lobby Manitoba Public Insurance to create different levels of certification that would allow certain body shops to remain MPI accredited.
Do we have a mover?
Les Fells, District 4.
Seconder?
Doug Brown, District 4.
Mover like to speak to this one? Resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know how many people are being affected by this issue. I guess some of the smaller towns are definitely being affected. It's limiting the amount of work that they can do for MPIC at the moment. And I have been told that if they don't meet certain criteria, they will be shut down or eliminated from working on any MPIC vehicles or insured vehicles. We at District 4 decided that it would be in the best interest of both MPIC and our local body shops that if they were allowed to work on vehicles that they had the existing equipment already in place and continue working on those types of vehicles, it's not going to cost Autopac anymore, and it will keep these organizations open for a period of time in the future.
Thanks, Les. We'll open the floor for discussion.
Colin Penner, District 3. As I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the brown sign there. It says, "Our mission, the CAP team is committed to advancing the prosperity of Manitoba farmers." and I fail to see how this resolution falls within that scope.
Go ahead.
This organization used to have something called a Rural Development Committee. I don't know where it went. It was Environment and Rural Development Committee, I believe, at the time. I think it is our duty to look after rural Manitoba. There aren't many other people speaking for us.
Thank you, Les. No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chuck Fossey, District 6. I agree with Colin. I question dealing with this issue. We're an agricultural organization, and yes, while we do want to support rural development, it's not just, you know, businesses in the local town and services in the local town. Rural development is allowing, you know, value-added industry, job creation, and a lot of other things that are related to agriculture. I don't see body shops being related to agriculture. And with the limited resources that CAP has, how much time and effort can we afford to be putting into such things as body shops, getting special farm license plates, and a number of other resolutions that have passed at previous meetings? I'm sure that there is some organization of affiliated body shops that can lobby on behalf of their members. And if they don't have an organization, they should have an organization that lobbies on behalf of all the body shop members in Manitoba. So I would suggest that we defeat this resolution and focus on what we know best, which is agriculture.
Thanks, Chuck.
Mr. Chairman, Butch Harder, Region, District 3. Through the chair to the previous speaker, I guess that's how you have to do it. I'm a little surprised that the previous speaker thinks there are no accidents on farms. Says this is not related to agriculture. It's every bit. I have a neighbor that has a shop. He doesn't do it anymore, probably because of restrictions, but this relates very much to agriculture. It's a good resolution. Come on.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? That resolution is defeated. I see our hour is up. We have one resolution left. We will deal with that tomorrow morning. I'd like to thank the Resolutions Committee, and we'll reconvene tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman, on a point of order, I won't be here tomorrow. We've had no resolution, although I think CAP has a standing resolution coming from our district to investigate the cost of inputs. And all of the speakers this morning, as though when I talk in the hallway, everybody's complaining about the cost of inputs. We know everything has gone up. We think the companies are ripping us off. And you know what? All the speakers this morning, there wasn't one that mentioned that. And it's a major problem on the farm. Care what you do tomorrow, but somebody better start drawing some attention to it. Now, if I'm the only one that's concerned about it, so be it. But I think that every other farmer is concerned about it and hasn't dealt with it one darn bit.